Hi, Ira. I heard you're busy learning for your coming exam.
Yes, Mum, would you tell me one best of learning strategies?
Sure, one of the best strategies for learning through reading is the SQ3R method. This structured approach enhances comprehension and retention of material.
What does SQ3R stand for?
SQ3R stands for survey, question, read, recite, and review.
How does it work?
Here's how it works. 1. Survey. Before diving into the text, quickly scan the material. Look at headings, subheadings, images, summaries, and any highlighted or bolded terms. This gives you an overview of the main topics and structure.
Would you explain more about the steps of survey?
The survey step in the SQ3R method involves quickly scanning the material to gain an overview of its structure and main points. This initial step sets the stage for more focused and efficient reading. Here's a detailed guide on how to conduct an effective survey. 1. Examine the title and headings. Title: Understand the main topic of the text. This provides a broad context. Headings and subheadings: identify the main sections and subsections. These give you a sense of the organization and key topics covered. 2. Read the introduction and conclusion. Introduction: This often contains the thesis or main argument of the text. It sets the purpose and scope. Conclusion provides a summary of the main points and findings. It often highlights the takeaways. 3. Look at any summaries or abstracts. These sections condense the content and can provide a quick overview of the key points and arguments. 4. Scan the first and last sentences of paragraphs. The first sentence often introduces the main idea of the paragraph, while the last sentence can provide a summary or conclusion. 5. Review visual elements, charts, graphs, and tables. These can highlight important data and trends. Images and captions. Images can illustrate key concepts and examples. Sidebars and text boxes. These often contain additional information or key points. 6. Check for bold or italicized text. Authors often use these styles to emphasize important terms and concepts. Pay attention to these to understand what is crucial in the text. 7. Read any questions or exercises at the end of sections or chapters. These can indicate what the author considers important and what you should be able to answer after reading. 8. Look at references and bibliographies. While not necessary for all surveys, a quick glance can provide insights into the sources and depths of research behind the material.
I think there are some benefits of doing the survey in SQ3R method.
Absolutely. The benefits are 1. Contextual understanding. You gain a framework for the information, making it easier to understand and integrate new details as you read. 2. Goal settings. Identifying key questions and main points helps you set specific reading goals. 3. Improved focus. By knowing the structure and main ideas, you can better navigate the text and avoid getting lost in details. 4. Enhanced retention. Recognizing the main ideas upfront helps in better encoding of information, facilitating long-term retention.
Could you give me the practical example of survey step in SQ3R method, ma'am?
Imagine you're about to read a chapter titled The Causes of World War I from a history textbook. First, title and headings. Notice the chapter is divided into selections like political alliances, economic factors, military build-up, and assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Second, introduction and conclusion. Read the introduction to understand the scope of the chapter and the conclusion to grasp the summary of the causes. Third, summaries or abstracts. If there's a summary at the beginning or end, read it to get a condensed version of the content. Fourth, paragraph scanning. Quickly glance at the first and last sentences of paragraphs in sections that seem dense. Fifth, visual elements. Check out maps showing alliances and graphs illustrating military expenditures. Sixth, bold or italicized text. Take note of terms like triple entente and central powers, which are likely key concepts. Seventh, end of section questions. Look at questions such as what were the main economic factors contributing to World War I? To guide your reading, eighth, references or bibliography. Notice references to significant historians and works for a deeper understanding of the topic.
By following these steps, we can create a mental map of the chapter, making the detailed reading that follows more efficient and effective.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
After the step of survey, what is the next step in SQ3R method?
After the step of survey, we do the step of question.
What should we do in the step of question?
We should formulate questions based on the headings and subheadings. Turn them into questions that you aim to answer as you read. For instance, if a section is titled The Causes of World War I, ask yourself, what were the causes of World War I?
Would you elaborate the step of question in SQ3R method, ma'am?
The question step in the SQ3R method involves turning headings and subheadings into questions. This step helps set clear objectives for your reading and keeps you engaged and focused on key information. Here's a detailed guide on how to effectively formulate questions. First, turn headings into questions. Convert each heading and subheading into a question. This helps you identify what specific information you need to look for as you read. For example, if a heading is political alliances, your question could be, what were the major political alliances before World War I? Second, use the 5 Ws and 1 H formulate questions based on who, what, when, where, why, and how. These questions encourage deeper thinking and a comprehensive understanding of the material. For example, for a section titled The Industrial Revolution, ask who were the key figures in the Industrial Revolution? What were the main inventions? When did it occur? Where did it begin? Why did it start? And how did it change society? Third, tailor questions to your learning objectives. Align your questions with your specific learning goals or the purpose of your reading. If you're reading for an exam, focus on questions that might be asked into a test. For instance, if you're studying for a history exam, your question for a section on the causes of World War II might be, what were the main causes of World War II and how did they interrelate? Fourth, incorporate Bloom's taxonomy. Use Bloom's taxonomy to create questions that cover different levels of cognitive processes, from basic recall to higher order thinking. Knowledge. What were the key events leading up to World War I? Comprehension. Can you summarize the main causes of World War I? Application. How did political alliances contribute to the start of World War I? Analysis. What were the differences and similarities between the causes of World War I and World War II? Synthesis. How might World War I have been avoided? Evaluation. Do you agree with the view that economic factors were the primary cause of World War I? Why or why not?
I see. I think I can do that.
Fifth, make questions specific and clear. Ensure your questions are specific enough to guide your reading, but not so narrow that they limit your understanding. For a heading effects of climate change, instead of a broad question like what is climate change, ask what are the primary environmental impacts of climate change? Sixth, use questions to guide note taking. As you read, use your questions to guide what you take notes on. This ensures your notes are focused and relevant. For each section, write down the question and then the answers you find in the text.
I see many benefits in the question step of SQ3R method.
You're right. Benefits of questioning. First, enhance engagement. Turning headings into questions makes reading an active process, keeping you engaged and focused. Second, improves comprehension. Questions help you identify key points and understand the material more deeply. Third, better retention. Actively seeking answers to your questions aids in memory retention and recall. Fourth, directed reading. Questions provide a clear direction for your reading, preventing you from getting lost in irrelevant details.
Ma'am, would you give me the practical example of doing the question step of SQ3R method?
Okay, suppose you're reading a chapter on the causes of World War I. Here's how you might formulate questions. First, main heading, the causes of World War I. Question, what were the main causes of World War I? Second, subheading, political alliances. Questions, what were the major political alliances before World War I? Who were the members of the Triple Entente? How did these alliances contribute to the outbreak of war? Third, subheading, economic factors. Questions, what economic factors contributed to the tensions leading to World War I? How did industrialization impact the relations between European powers? Fourth, subheading, military buildup. Questions, what was the significance of the arms race before World War I? How did the military buildup among the European nations escalate tensions? Fifth, subheading, assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Questions, who was Archduke Ferdinand and why was his assassination significant? How did this event trigger the start of World War I?
Could you give me the question examples tailored to Bloom's taxonomy?
Question examples tailored to Bloom's taxonomy. First, knowledge. What year did World War I begin? Second, comprehension. Can you explain the role of the Triple Alliance in the lead up to World War I? Third, application. How did the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand lead to a chain reaction among the elite countries? Fourth, analysis. What were the underlying economic motivations behind the political alliances? Fifth, synthesis. If the assassination had not occurred, what alternative scenarios might have led to the war? Sixth, evaluation. To what extent do you believe the military build-up was the most critical cause of World War I?
By formulating questions in this structured way, we'll have a clearer focus while reading, enhancing our comprehension and retention of the material. Am I right, Mum?
Yes, you're right. What an excellent summary.
Thank you, Mum. It's because your explanation is clear.
Good, I'm glad you can absorb my explanation.
After the question step, what is the next step in the SQ3R method?
The next step in SQ3R method is the read step.
What do we do in the step?
The read step in the SQ3R method is where you actively engage with the text to find answers to the questions you formulated in the previous step. This step requires thorough and attentive reading to understand and assimilate the material deeply. Here's how to approach it effectively. First, read actively and purposefully. Approach the reading with the goal of finding answers to your questions. This keeps you engaged and focused. Take your time to understand the content, making sure to read at a pace that allows for comprehension. Second, annotate and highlight. As you read, underline or highlight key points, terms, and phrases that answer your questions or are particularly important. Make notes in the margins or use sticky notes to jot down thoughts, summaries, or additional questions that arise. Third, break down the text. Read in manageable chunks, such as paragraphs or sections, to avoid feeling overwhelmed and to enhance understanding. After reading each chunk, pause to reflect on what you've read and how it answers your questions. Fourth, summarize key points. Periodically summarize what you've read in your own words. This helps reinforce understanding and retention. Write brief summaries for each section or chapter to capture the main ideas and details. Fifth, look up unfamiliar terms. Don't skip over words or concepts you don't understand. Take the time to look them up and understand their meaning in the context of the text. Use dictionaries, glossaries, or reliable online resources to clarify terms. Sixth, visualize information. Use visual aids like diagrams, charts, and mind maps to organize and connect information. This can help you see the relationships between different ideas. Draw connections between new information and what you already know. Seventh, ask and answer questions. Continually ask yourself questions about the text and attempt to answer them. This deepens engagement and comprehension. Compare your initial questions with the answers you find to ensure you're covering all necessary aspects of the material. Eighth, reflect and relate. Reflect on how the information fits into the larger context of what you're studying. Relate the content to real-life examples, current events, or other subjects you're familiar with to enhance understanding.
Please give the practical example of the read step in SQ3R method, mum.
Suppose you are reading a chapter on the causes of World War I and have formulated the following questions. What were the major political alliances before World War I? What economic factors contributed to the tensions leading to World War I? What was the significance of the arms race before World War I? Who was Archduke Ferdinand? And why was his assassination significant? Here's how you might approach the reading. First, start reading actively. Begin with the section on political alliances. Highlight key alliances mentioned, such as the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance. Second, annotate and summarize. In the margins, note key points like Triple Entente, France, Russia, UK, and Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Summarize the section in your own words. The major political alliances created a divided Europe, which increased tensions and the likelihood of conflict. Third, look up unfamiliar terms. Encounter the term arms race and look up its definition. A competition between nations for superiority in the development and accumulation of weapons. Fourth, reflect and visualize. Draw a timeline of events leading up to the war, highlighting key alliances, economic tensions, and the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Fifth, ask and answer questions. Compare your notes with the initial questions. For example, for the question who was Archduke Ferdinand and why was his assassination significant, read the relevant section carefully, noting that Ferdinand was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne and his assassination by a Serbian nationalist was a catalyst for the war. Right in the margin, assassination of Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia. Alliances activated. WW1 begins. Sixth, relate to larger context. Reflect on how these causes interrelate and contribute to the larger context of global conflicts and historical patterns.
Well, I'll try the steps in learning reading. By the way, could you give the tips for effective reading, mum?
Tips for effective reading. First, stay focused. Minimize distractions while reading. Find a quiet place and set aside a specific time for reading. Second, use multiple passages. Sometimes you may need to read a section more than once to fully grasp it. The first pass can be for general understanding and subsequent passes for deeper comprehension. Fifth, engage with the text. Ask yourself how the information you're reading applies to your life or current events. This makes the reading more relevant and engaging. Sixth, discuss with others. If possible, discuss the material with peers or study groups. Explaining concepts to others can reinforce your own understanding.
By following these steps and strategies, the read phase of the SQ3R method will be more effective, leading to a deeper understanding and better retention of the material.
Yes, it's true.
After reading, next step is reciting, right?
Yes, the next step in SQ3R is the recite step. After reading each section, pause and summarize the main points and answers to your questions in your own words. This reinforces understanding and memory. The recite step in the SQ3R method involves summarizing and verbalizing the main points and answers to your questions after reading a section. This process reinforces understanding and enhances memory retention by actively engaging with the material. Here's how to effectively carry out the recite step. First, summarize in your own words. After reading a section, pause and summarize the key points without looking at the text. This forces you to process and internalize the information. Focus on the main ideas and the answers to the questions you formulated earlier. Second, write down key points. Jot down brief notes or summaries of the section. Use bullet points, short sentences, or even diagrams to capture the essence of what you've read. Ensure your notes are clear and concise, highlighting the most important information. Third, teach or explain the material. Pretend you are teaching the content to someone else. Explain the main points and answers to your questions as if you were giving a lesson. This can be done verbally or in writing. Teaching is a powerful way to reinforce learning because it requires a deep understanding of the material. Fourth, answer your questions. Review the questions you posed during the question step and answer them based on what you've read. Write down or say the answers out loud. This helps solidify the information in your memory. Fifth, use flashcards. Create flashcards with questions on one side and answers on the other. Recite the answers to the questions without looking at the text. This method is especially useful for memorizing facts, definitions, and key concepts. Sixth, discuss with a study partner. If possible, discuss the material with a study partner or group. Recite the main points and answers to your questions to each other. This not only reinforces your understanding, but also exposes you to different perspectives and interpretations of the material. Seventh, review regularly. Periodically review your summaries, notes, and flashcards. Recitation is not a one-time activity. Regular review helps reinforce long-term retention. Schedule brief review sessions in the days and weeks following your initial reading.
I am sure there is a practical example of the step.
Yes, let's say you've read a section on the causes of World War One, and you formulated the following questions. What were the major political alliances before World War One? What economic factors contributed to the tensions leading to World War One? What was the significance of the arms race before World War One? Who was Archduke Ferdinand, and why was his assassination significant? Here's how you might recite the information. First, summarize in your own words. Before World War I, the major political alliances were the Triple Entente, consisting of France, Russia, and the UK, and the Triple Alliance made up Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. Economic factors included industrial competition and economic rivalries, which increased tensions. The arms race, characterized by the buildup of military forces and weaponry, further escalated these tensions. Archduke Ferdinand was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his assassination by a Serbian nationalist triggered the war. Second, write down key points. Political alliances: Triple Entente, France, Russia, UK; Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Economic factors: industrial competition, economic rivalries, arms race, military buildup, increased tensions, assassination, Archduke Ferdinand, Serbian nationalist, war trigger. Third, teach or explain. The alliances created a divided Europe, making conflicts more likely. Economic competition and rivalries added to the tensions. The arms race meant that countries were ready for war. Finally, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand by a Serbian nationalist led Austria-Hungary to declare war on Serbia, activating the alliances and starting the war. Answer your questions. Major political alliances. The Triple Entente and Triple Alliance were the major political alliances. Economic factors: economic competition and rivalries were significant factors. Significance of the arms race: the arms race escalated tensions and readiness for war. Assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. His assassination triggered the war by causing Austria-Hungary to declare war on Serbia. Fifth, use flashcards. Question: what were the major political alliances before World War I? Answer: Triple Entente, France, Russia, UK, and Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Question: what economic factors contributed to the tensions? Answer: industrial competition and economic rivalries. Questions: what was the significance of the arms race? Answer: it escalated tensions and readiness for war. Question: who was Archduke Ferdinand and why was his assassination significant? Answer: he was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne and his assassination triggered the war. 6. Discuss with a study partner. Partner, what were the main economic factors contributing to World War I? U. Industrial competition and economic rivalries among the major European powers. 7th, review regularly. Schedule review sessions and go over your notes and flashcards. Recite the answers again to reinforce your memory.
Clear explanation, Mum. Thank you. Now, please tell me the benefit of reciting.
The benefits of reciting are: first, enhanced understanding. By articulating the information in your own words, you deepen your comprehension. Second, better retention. Active recall strengthens your memory and makes it easier to remember the information long term. Third, immediate feedback. By comparing your recitations with the text, you can immediately identify and correct any misunderstandings. Fourth, confidence boost. Regular recitation builds confidence in your knowledge and readiness to apply it.
Let me conclude that by following these steps, the recite phase of the SQ3R method will be more effective, leading to a deeper understanding and better retention of the material.
Exactly, you're smart.
Thank you, Mum. What is the last step in SQ3R method, Mum?
The last step in SQ3R method is review. Once you have finished reading, go back and review the material. Revisit your questions, summaries, and any notes you've taken. This helps consolidate the information and ensures long-term retention.
Would you explain more about this step, Mum?
Alright, the review step in the SQ3R method involves revisiting the material to reinforce understanding and retention. This final step helps consolidate the information in your memory and ensures that you have a solid grasp of the material. Here's how to effectively carry out the review step. First, immediate review. Shortly after completing the Recite step, go over your notes, summaries, and answers to the questions you posed. This immediate review helps reinforce what you've just learned and identifies any areas that need clarification. Second, scheduled reviews. Plan regular review sessions. Spaced repetition is a powerful technique for long-term retention. Schedule reviews after a day, a week, and a month to revisit the material. Use a calendar or a reminder app to ensure you stick to your review schedule. Third, comprehensive review. Revisit all your notes, summaries, and flashcards. Try to recall the information without looking at your notes first, and then check for accuracy. Focus on understanding the connections between different pieces of information and how they fit into the larger context. Fourth, active recall. Test yourself on the material. Use flashcards or practice questions to actively recall the information. This strengthens memory retention. Cover your notes and try to recite the main points and answers to your questions from memory. Fifth, elaborate on the material. Go beyond rote memorization. Elaborate on the information by explaining it in more detail, making connections to other topics, or applying it to real-world scenarios. Write essays, create mind maps, or engage in discussions to deepen your understanding. Sixth, use different formats. Review the material in different formats to reinforce learning. This could include reading your notes, watching videos, listening to podcasts, or discussing the material with others. Different formats engage different cognitive processes, enhancing retention. Seventh, identify and address gaps. During your review, identify any areas where your understanding is weak or incomplete. Focus on these areas in subsequent reviews. Look for additional resources such as textbooks, articles, or expert opinions to fill in the gaps. Eighth, summarize periodically. Periodically write or verbalize summaries of the material. Summarizing helps you distill the information into its most essential points, reinforcing your understanding. Compare your summaries over time to see how your understanding has evolved and improved. Do you want me to give the practice example of reciting step?
Yes, Mum, please, thank you.
Okay, let's say you've studied a chapter on the causes of the World War I and have gone through the survey, question, read, and recite steps. Here's how you might approach to review step. First, immediate review. Right after reciting, go through your notes and flashcards. Check if you can accurately recall the answers to your questions about the major political alliances, economic factors, arms race, and the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Second, schedule reviews. Schedule reviews for the next day, a week later, and a month later. Use these sessions to go over your notes and flashcards again. Set reminders on your phone or calendar to ensure you don't miss these review sessions. Third, comprehensive review. During each scheduled review, read through all your notes and try to recall the main points without looking at them first. Write down or say out loud what you remember. Review your summaries and see if you can expand on them with additional details or connections. Fourth, active recall. Use flashcards to test yourself. Cover the answers and try to recall them from memory. Check for accuracy and make corrections as needed. Create new questions based on the material and test yourself or have someone else test you. Fifth, elaborate on the material. Write a short essay on how the political alliances contributed to the outbreak of World War I. Explain the economic factors in more detail and how they created tensions between nations. Discuss the material with a study partner, explaining the causes of World War I and their significance. Sixth, use different formats. Watch a documentary or listen to a podcast about World War I to reinforce the material from a different perspective. Create a mind map connecting the different causes of World War I and how they interrelate. Seventh, identify and address gaps. If you find that you're consistently forgetting certain details, focus your next review session on those areas. Look up additional information on the economic factors or the specific events leading to the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Summarize periodically at the end of each review session. Write a brief summary of what you've reviewed. Compare the summary to previous one to track your progress. Summarize the entire chapter periodically to ensure you maintain a high-level understanding of the material.
Understood, Mum. There must be benefits of reviewing, right?
Of course, benefits of reviewing are: first, enhance retention. Regular review reinforces memory, making it more likely that you'll retain the information long term. Second, improves understanding. Reviewing allows you to see connections between different pieces of information, deepening your understanding. Third, confidence building. Frequent review boosts confidence in your knowledge and ability to recall information. Fourth, effective preparation. Regular review ensures you're well prepared for exams, presentations, or discussions.
By following the steps you explained, the review phase of the SQ3R method will be more effective, leading to a deeper understanding and better retention of the material.
Right. To sum up, by systematically engaging with the text using the SQ3R method, you can improve comprehension, retention, and overall learning effectiveness.
Thank you so much for your comprehensive explanation about SQ3R methods as one of best strategies of reading.
My pleasure. I hope the explanation is beneficial for you and everyone who needs the information.